Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Chapter 13A. We are talking about Mastigiophores today. If you will remember, they are the ones that move using flagella. And you'll be glad to know that you don't have to say mastigiophore all the time. You can say flagellates, because that is also what they are known as. Okay, you can see the image on the left. That is actually showing you what flagella look like and how complicated their structures are. The image on the right is showing you a little bit about how the structures kind of all go together. And you can see the type of motion that flagella have. It's kind of a twisting motion like a propeller or a whip that you see moving. Okay, flagella structure is actually pretty complicated, and I'm going to include a link on the email to show you a link to a rather long video, but it basically is videos that show how flagella can show that there is a designer, that there is not just random evolution to create something like flagella. It's a lot more complicated than most people realize. You do not need to be able to know all those structures, by the way. I just want you to realize that although we think of it just looking like this little tail thing, it actually is very, very complicated. Okay, one thing a lot of people don't realize when you think of flagella being like a propeller or a whip is that in reality they move towards the flagella for the most part. It's not a direction where they're being pushed by the flagella behind them like a propeller on a boat. It actually is pulling them towards where they need or want to go. And remember, these are animal-like protists, so they are going to have animal-like characteristics. Okay, in this video, I wanted you to see it because it shows the flagella quite well. These are called euglena, which are one of the unusual types of protists. Okay, you can see the flagella. You don't see a whole lot of movement with these because in order to take their pictures, they put them in stuff that kind of glues them in place. Kind of like a gel substance so they don't move around a whole lot. Otherwise, it's hard to take pictures of them. Okay, but you can see those flagella, they move quite rapidly. In fact, you can't even see all of the movement of the flagella. Okay. If they slowed it down, you would actually notice that there are a lot of movements of the flagella you don't see. I included this video as well. It's about the same length in order to show you what it looks like for the euglena not to be stuck somewhere. The reality of how fast they actually can move. Now, this is euglena simply from a local pond that somebody went out to. When you look in a stagnant water and you see green, it may be these euglena. Okay, you can see they move pretty quickly. Okay, that's all I wanted to show you of that. Now, what you may have realized is while we're talking about Euglena being animal-like, they are green, and you may not have thought about it too much, but the reality is they are one of those types of creatures that doesn't really fit into any particular category. They're kind of in their own. Officially, they're with the animal-like because they are heterotrophic, which remember means that something eats. However, Euglena also have the ability to be autotrophic. They can have photosynthesis to get their food. They can do either. In fact, the reality is they can do both at the same time. Now remember, the Euglena is heading towards the flagellum. What you can see right here towards the flagella end is what's called an eye spot or a stigma, and that enables the Euglena to actually kind of know where the sunlight is, and they will move towards sunlight. If you have them on a microscope and you put the slide part way on the light and part way not on the light, they will go towards the light. They're able to detect the light. They have chloroplasts, and like all eukaryotes, they have all those different organelles inside that have membranes, like the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. You can see they also have something called a contractile vacuole. We have not talked about that in the past. Realize most of these creatures will have a contractile vacuole as well as these other structures. However, we're going to talk about the contractile vacuole when we talk about the ciliates or the Mastigiophores. Okay. Now, what you probably have realized by now is if something is both heterotrophic and autotrophic, they call them mixotrophic. Okay, it is literally just based on the idea that it's a mix of both of those two things. So the Euglena can both make their food and the Euglena can eat their food, depending on if there's food available or not. Okay, not all of the flagellates can do this. Euglena is one of the unusual ones. But they will move the same way and they will have the same types of structures except for the chloroplasts. Okay, next time we will talk about the Mastigiophores and find out about the contractile vacuole.